It begins with light. Thin, white arcs streak silently across the desert sky near El Paso. No engine noise, no contrails, just movement. Deliberate, synchronized, precise. Border sensors register anomalies seconds later. Infrared cameras flare with ghost signatures. Coordinates appear on the tactical grid, then vanish. At 02:14 local time, radar stations in southern New Mexico switch to active scan. Their operators watch returns shift and distort, as if the air itself bends. In the control room, the spectrum looks wrong. Too clean, too steady. The system tags the pattern as unknown stealth UAV formation. 10 targets. Altitude, variable. Speed, constant. Civilian eyewitnesses in nearby towns record short videos. Strange lights gliding in silence, low over the horizon, turning sharply against the wind. The clips spread within minutes. Local networks call it atmospheric testing. Independent analysts disagree. Satellite data soon confirms multiple heat sources, all matching the profile of stealth drones, operating inside a restricted corridor less than 20 miles from the Mexican border. By dawn, the footage has gone viral. Hashtags flood feeds, blending speculation with fear. Black triangles, border specters, Operation Echo. The Pentagon refuses to comment. Homeland Security issues a single-line statement. No cause for public concern. The silence becomes fuel. Across the continent, defense monitors detect an encrypted burst from a classified uplink in Nevada. Analysts trace it to the Tonopah Test Range, home of America's most secretive airframe projects. The timing matches the first visual sightings. Coincidence becomes unlikely. The phrase, controlled live trial, appears in several internal memos leaked to a European intelligence forum hours later. In Langley, early briefings mark the event as significant but contained. The tone hides urgency. If the drones were domestic, the question becomes why they're flying here. If they're not, the implications multiply. Each new radar ping reopens an old fear that America's own stealth technology has been mirrored, replicated, or stolen. At 05:47, the Federal Aviation Network temporarily closes a narrow air corridor stretching from Arizona to West Texas. The notice reads like maintenance protocol. In reality, air traffic controllers are rerouting civilian flights away from something they cannot describe. On the ground, agents secure a remote observation post near Las Cruces. Tire marks in the sand suggest heavy transport vehicles. Heat residue indicates recent landings. Vertical, not runway-based. No official unit claims responsibility. The pattern fits none of the registered drone programs. Every signal analyst in the region pulls the same data set. Frequency noise, pulse intervals, telemetry echoes. The fingerprints point to a prototype control system, autonomous, decentralized, capable of operating without uplink. Each unit communicating with the others, forming a moving grid of awareness. A neural swarm. Satellite eyes widen the picture. Dozens of small signatures appear near restricted energy installations, communications relays, and radar domes along the border. Perfectly spaced. Perfectly timed. It's not reconnaissance anymore. It's mapping. In Washington, the National Security Council holds a closed session at sunrise. No statements follow. When reporters ask, every department refers to ongoing coordination. None deny the footage. None confirm it. By midday, air defenses remain on standby. Pilots wait for launch orders that never come. The drones are still visible on thermal tracking but hold position. Unmoving. Silent. suspended like code written across the sky. For now, no one claims them. Not the Pentagon, not the contractors, not the adversaries. And as the sun climbs over the desert, the question grows louder in every briefing room and every newsroom feed. If these aren't ours, whose sky is this? Under satellite glare, the desert glows faintly. Tracks radiate from the point of contact. Perfect circles burned into the dust, evenly spaced, 3 meters apart. Drone imprints. The night before, there were none. At 03:22 GMT, reconnaissance satellites over the southwestern corridor detect faint electromagnetic bursts. Analysts classify the pattern as encrypted telemetry, low power, phase hopping. The source matches no known U.S. or Allied communication standard. Within minutes, images reach the European SIGINT Center in Ramstein. Their report reads simply: Unregistered aerial system. Autonomous behavior confirmed. The finding spreads quietly through defense networks. By dawn, NATO watch desks in Brussels, London, and Warsaw are running continuous updates. Each feed shows the same grid of moving dots, shifting in geometric precision across the U.S. border states. For the first time, the signal extends offshore. New contacts appear over the Gulf of Mexico, trailing identical frequencies. In Washington, the internal narrative fractures. The Air Force claims experimental drills. The CIA denies involvement. The Department of Energy orders its sensors offline near Los Alamos, citing maintenance. The pattern of silence forms its own confirmation. No one owns this operation, yet everyone watches. Across the Pacific, Tokyo intelligence intercepts mirrored signals near Guam. Singapore confirms brief radar flashes over the South China Sea. Each incident follows the same template: low-altitude stealth movement, silent propulsion, short-range bursts of encrypted data. The network is global now. Civilian analysts step in where officials will not. Open-source imagery shows drones flying identical paths at identical intervals in different hemispheres. Algorithms sync them into one map, a moving pattern of arcs and nodes stretching from California to the Mediterranean. Observers name it the net. At 11:04 local, NORAD raises its alert status. Pilots are briefed for visual contact only, no engagement. The drones respond to radar pings by dispersing in spirals, then reforming seconds later. It looks coordinated, intentional, as if testing reaction speed. Inside a command bunker at Fort Meade, rows of analysts parse telemetry noise. One signal stands out: a recurring sequence of numbers transmitted between drone clusters: 48.92, 103.67, coordinates deep inside North Dakota. A decommissioned communications array lies there, sealed since 1998. Within hours, surveillance teams deploy. They find nothing. The facility remains cold, power lines cut, but a faint hum vibrates through the concrete. Hidden beneath the floor plates, a new relay module, operational, unknown origin. The markings on the board are English, but the architecture is alien. Self-correcting circuits, layered encryption loops, no manufacturer ID. News breaks internationally before confirmation. Headlines flash: stealth drones operating off-grid. AI-controlled recon network expands. Unknown signals linked to U.S. prototype program. Markets react instantly. Defense stocks surge, airlines plummet, satellite firms issue emergency advisories. The world adjusts to uncertainty. At the United Nations, delegates demand explanations. The American envoy cites classified developments. The Russian and Chinese representatives request emergency consultation. Within hours, state media in both countries frame the phenomenon as an escalation, a new invisible weapon system deployed without warning. Meanwhile, the drones change behavior. At dusk, they drop altitude, hovering near uninhabited sectors of the border, projecting faint beams toward the ground. Ground sensors capture electromagnetic scans consistent with deep surface imaging. They're probing, not territory, but infrastructure. In the control rooms of aerospace firms from Seattle to Munich, engineers recognize design cues: airframe curvature, propulsion vectoring, signal compression identical to classified research from decades past. Someone has resurrected a project once thought abandoned. Distributed stealth, unmanned, self-learning. Panic filters into strategy. Each intelligence service drafts its own scenario. Cyber infiltration, autonomous surveillance, psychological signaling. The common factor: no human pilot, no visible base of command. As the second night falls, the swarm expands to 56 confirmed units. Satellites record perfect alignment above major transmission lines. The formation blinks once, synchronously, then vanishes from radar altogether. Command centers freeze. Systems reboot. For 7 full minutes, every tracking feed goes dark. When the signal returns, the sky is empty. No echoes. No heat signatures. No explanation. In the silence that follows, one analyst writes a single note into the day's log. They weren't testing us. They were watching who watched first. Before dawn, the skies returned to silence. No radar anomalies. No heat signatures. Only the memory of what hovered there. A pattern written and erased in the same motion. For 3 days, the world watched machines that shouldn't exist move as if they had purpose. Now they are gone, leaving data fragments, pressure shifts, and 1,000 questions. At 06 New, a joint report is released under the Department of Defense and the National Science Directorate. For the first time, the veil lifts. The drones are confirmed as part of a classified program known as Project Halcyon, a network of next-generation stealth UAVs designed for atmospheric mapping, environmental data collection, and autonomous border surveillance. Their mission: to test coordinated AI control under live conditions across multiple terrains without central command. Analysts who had predicted a crisis now find a different picture. Halcyon is not a weapon system, but a prototype for distributed sensing, a way to detect weather shifts, illegal crossings, radiation leaks, and infrastructure faults in real time. Each drone operates as both observer and relay, sharing data across a mesh invisible to the naked eye. The project had reached its final test phase. The blackout was the handover moment when the drones shifted from human control to self-navigation and back. The panic that followed, though unintended, exposed something larger: how unprepared the global system remains for transparency at machine speed. Governments learned how quickly silence becomes fear, how rumors move faster than facts. The world's most advanced surveillance network became an accidental mirror, reflecting its own anxiety. From a technical standpoint, the benefits are immediate. The drone's sensors now map microclimates along the U.S., border with precision satellites can't match. They track wildfire risk, pollution shifts, migratory routes, and, yes, potential incursions. Their new generation propulsion systems consume 60% less fuel, their AI processors learn terrain autonomously, and their composite hulls reduce radar return by a factor of 10. The report's annex outlines how this technology could shift from defense to civilian resilience. Coordinated drone grids monitoring hurricanes before they form, agricultural zones guided by real-time soil imaging, early detection of seismic movement before infrastructure failure. The same network that once inspired fear could, if directed, become a shield for life instead of conflict. Health agencies and environmental scientists join the program's second phase. They develop applications for disaster zones, drones delivering supplies to isolated populations, scanning for contamination, or linking to emergency medbots capable of remote triage. The interface between autonomy and aid becomes the next frontier. In public communication, officials emphasize calm. The lesson is no longer about secrecy, but adaptation. Every leap in technology brings a reflex of panic. Every invisible advance demands new literacy, knowing how to interpret signals, verify sources, and understand what autonomous systems do will soon be part of ordinary preparedness, as familiar as locking a door or storing clean water. Strategists now speak of the balance cycle: awareness, response, resilience. First, detect the change. Then, adjust behavior before fear multiplies. Finally, use the information to build stability instead of reaction. What began as a night of confusion ends as a demonstration of that cycle in motion. Information becomes clarity. Clarity becomes control. The quiet returns not as absence, but as readiness. Across research labs, engineers finalize new prototypes, lighter, quieter, programmed with dual protocols, observation and assistance. They are built to respond to heat, drought, and disaster as easily as to threat. They are the next generation of Halcyon, not instruments of war, but instruments of awareness. For every citizen, the takeaway is simple. Technology will not slow down. Comprehension must catch up. Trust data, question hysteria, demand context. When systems evolve beyond visibility, understanding becomes the real defense. By evening, the border sky remains empty. A single maintenance drone hums across the horizon, tracing the line where desert meets light. The network sleeps, waiting for its next command. Not to surveil, but to serve. The world exhales. The lesson holds. In the age of autonomous intelligence, calm is the new security.